Hi, I'm John,
And I'm Jeff.
and welcome to Love and Other Investments. So, this episode,
Yeah, what's our subject today?
we thought we might kind of go back to the beginning a little bit to invite some new listeners in. And so I was kind of thinking about this question I get from people, or comment that I get from people a lot, which is, I'm just not really interested in money. I don't do money well. I've never been good at planning. I've never been good at money, at budgeting. That's just not my thing. And I've always been amazed by that personally because, well, first of all, I'm in the money business. I'm in the budget. I mean, this is what I do, right?
So this is a foreign comment to you. I mean, you're thinking about money all day long.
Right.
Right.
In that fact, I'm not actually thinking about money. I mean, there's this system,
Right.
Right.
And,
one of the things that we've talked about a lot is this idea that when people, say, oh, yeah, we're getting behind and I don't know why. And I'm like, okay, and please, listeners, hear this. There's an arithmetic thing going on here that's not difficult. If you made it, and this is not pejorative, this is not an insult in any way.
You don't want hate mail?
I don't want hate mail. There's an element to finances, handling your finances, which is really just basic arithmetic.
Addition and subtraction.
Right. I make so many $1,000s a month. I make decisions with those dollars, and at the end of the month, I have plus minus, right?
Yeah.
So it's, I start with a number, I subtract out my expenses, and I will hear people occasionally be amazed that they're in the red every month. And so this is one of those places that I think it's really good, the fact that you've got a financial planner and
a therapist.
Because we're talking about money in our brains, right?
Yeah.
Because money's money, it doesn't care. But our brain is a weird, wild place,
yeah,
right?
It is. Yeah.
And what we think we see or what we think we feel is often more complex.
Yeah.
And so I'm throwing out this really crazy idea, especially to new listeners, that maybe the complexity isn't the financial aspect. Maybe it's what's going on inside of us.
Inside your mind.
Yes.
Okay. Well, let's play with that.
I think that would be cool.
So what do you think? What is your guess about what could be happening?
Well, I think there's a big element of expectations. I think in life we have certain expectations of how my life should go. I think we have certain, whether that was, this is how I was raised, this is how I want to be, this is how my friends are. So we measure ourselves, unfortunately. We find ourselves often measuring ourselves against other people if we don't have a clear standard of what we want to accomplish. Now, I just said quite a few things there. Do you want to help me unpack that?
I don't know. I'm not sure yet.
Okay.
But you're saying that maybe people are. This is a keep up with the Joneses kind of thing.
I'm saying that there is a huge difference between having a clear sense of what you want to do and what your resources are and not. Because if I don't have a clear sense of what it is that I'm trying to accomplish and what resources I have to accomplish that with, then really all I can do is compare, right? I can compare myself to something else.
Sure.
And I can either be ahead of that or behind that. I can be lesser or more.
Okay, but let me see if I can tease something out here.
Absolutely.
So you're answering this from your vantage point, though, which is someone who's very adept at thinking about money.
Fair.
And you're describing the person who might come to you and say, I just don't know how to do money.
Mm-hmm.
And in one way, I think we can both agree that they probably know how to do addition and subtraction.
Agreed.
And to the extent that they have a basic understanding that addition and subtraction is pretty much what handling money is about,
Correct.
then they know how to handle money. So in that sense, you're making an observation that they're complaining about something that they actually technically have the skills for, correct?
Yes. So there's several skills involved, and so if there's 3 sets of skills involved, and I'm not aware of the other 2 skills. For instance, let's say that, pick a sport, let's just say baseball.
Okay.
There's hitting, there's fielding, and there's running.
Okay.
Right? Well, there's probably lots more. I never played competitive baseball, but hey, I'm just pulling something out of my hat here.
Sure.
And you say to yourself, well, I absolutely understand baseball is about hitting. I get that. But if I haven't contemplated that there's also running and fielding involved, then I might find myself really surprised why the game doesn't go very well when I'm not hitting.
Yeah.
And so if I think that finances are just about math, and every time I get to the end of the month, I'm a few dollars short, the math is telling me that, but I don't know why I'm short. I don't know why I'm spending more. I don't know why I'm compelled. I don't know why I'm getting to this place.
Okay, but I think maybe we're going down a rabbit hole here. So stay with me.
Okay?
I think you're saying something different. I think you're saying someone will come and make a complaint, I don't know how to do money, when you know that they have all the skills. If there are 3 of them, they have all 3.
Mm-hmm.
But they're still saying to you, I don't know how. Right?
Yes.
And you're scratching your head saying, I don't relate to that. B, how can that possibly be true? C, there's got to be something else going on.
I land on C quite hard here.
Yeah. And so what is it? So I'll go back. Let me go back. What is it you think C is?
I think C is clarity. I think C is history. I know it sounds like I'm painting with a crazy brush here.
Okay. You want to add anything besides clarity and history to your answer?
Yeah, I would add fear.
Okay.
I would add desire.
Okay.
I would add lots of phrases in there that talk about qualitative life desires.
Okay.
Which, by the way, I don't know any way to run those through arithmetic.
Right.
But they're very powerful.
There's a social scientist out there who would be glad to tell you. But yes, I understand what you're saying. You're saying that the human parts of decision making are what is fueling the belief someone has that they can't do money because they're not good at it.
Correct.
It's not the skill set of addition and subtraction. It's something else.
Mm-hmm.
It's what they long for, what they feel as if they're missing. It's insecurity or fear. It's anxiety. It's wanting to please people. It's aspects of their personality.
Absolutely.
And those things are determining their decision making.
Cluttering, determining, overpowering.
Okay.
I mean, there's lots of words, right?
Okay.
Directing.
Sure.
And so, I think a lot of times people have the ability to get by. They have the ability to succeed. They have the tools that they need.
Yeah.
They have the income. They could even make a few adjustments and get the cost structure, what they spend, in alignment with what they make.
Sure.
But it's the stuff that isn't so much in my chair as it's the stuff that's in your chair.
Right.
That is getting in the way. And that's the mind. That's desire and fear and hope and
we can make a long list.
We can make a long list.
Yeah.
So let me kick the ball over to you. And again, thinking about some people who, are going, this is interesting. You've got a financial planner and a therapist together. What is this space that exists that's not in my office? It's not strictly in your office.
Right.
but it's kind of in the hallway between us.
I think there's a rough analogy to another situation that I see commonly, which is that couples will come into my office and they'll say, we really don't know how to communicate. And then I'll say, okay, well, tell me what you mean. And of course, they'll begin the argument.
They'll start communicating.
Right. They'll begin communicating. And what I find, I've said this to you before, and I'm sure I've said it in one of our episodes before too, what I find is they communicate just fine. They are saying exactly what they want to be saying.
Yeah.
And it's not always very nice what they're saying.
Yeah, it's no filter.
Right. So it's not an issue of whether or not they communicate. It's an issue of something else.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's roughly analogous to what you're saying right here about this complaint about people saying, I don't know how to do money. My guess, obviously people are very different and they have individual differences, so everyone's situation is different, but my guess that there's a fair amount of attempt to cope with something unwanted by telling themselves a little story. And the story goes, part of my identity is I'm not good at X. Whether that's objectively true or not, as long as that part of me is true in my mind, I believe it to be true, then I don't have to deal with the money. Well, I'm not really good at that money, so can you take care of it for me? It's a way of coping with something that's painful or unwanted in a particular moment. Now, what could be the painful thing? Well, it doesn't have to be the money, although it could have been at some point, I suppose. It's really probably some feeling that they don't want, right? Like they're afraid they're going to mess it up.
So and I want to add some simplicity and then some complexity to this real quick.
Sure, go.
When I first started off, I'm talking about individuals. And when you grabbed it, you started talking about couples.
Right.
You can be an individual and either be good at, quote, in your own mind, in practice, in dealing with money, or you can be bad at money and all the things that go along with it.
Yeah.
But I think you and I would both agree that if you want to add complexity, just add a partner.
Sure.
So maybe you were good at it on your own. Maybe you were single and everything was going along really great and you felt like you had a handle on things and you were going in a good direction, and then you got into a good long-term relationship, which you're very happy about. But all of a sudden, it's like, I don't know what I'm doing with money anymore. Or I've been told I don't know how to do money.
Or I don't want to mess up my money by sharing it with you.
Or I don't want to mess up our money. It was one thing when it was mine, but now it's ours.
Yes.
And
right.
I mean, we could go down to there's so many iterations of this. And so even if it was difficult for you as an individual, there's still hope in a relationship that together you can work this thing out, that you can build skills of understanding what it is that you both want, that you both agree on, and looking at the proper use of resources to accomplish that.
I mean, when you think about it, probably most couples use their resources, their non-financial resources, every day in ways they're comfortable with. So again, it's not that most people are unable to do the addition and subtraction or allocating the financial resources. It's that something else is happening to them that they're afraid of. Let's just say that it's possibly fear, right? And they're coping with it by being in a bit of denial.
Right.
I can't do it. Well, that's not true. In the instances in which it would be true, you would probably know the reasons for that. Let's say you're really can't do addition and subtraction. Then you would need help. Right. And then you would cooperate with your partner to figure out how to make that happen.
So going back to my baseball analogy, the terrible baseball analogy.
Yeah.
But let's assume that the person did realize that there were three aspects to the game.
Sure.
But they're comfortable hitting. We'll call it spending.
Okay.
For this fun little twist,
Right.
we'll call it spend. I'm
The
comfortable
subtraction
spending.
part.
The
Sure.
subtraction part. Or let's say maybe that their version of hitting is making money.
Sure. Okay.
You know, look, I'm pretty good at bringing in income. The rest of the game, I don't know. And so one of the defense mechanisms that we all employ is we like to play to strength.
Yeah.
If this is what I'm good at, then this is what I'm going to do. You know, and
Yeah.
the reality is that I think in this situation, one of the things that we often miss is that by just spending a little bit of time in a safe space with a curious partner, you can work on some of these other skills
No doubt.
and bring them up.
Sure.
Getting better at hitting, whether that's spending or earning income, is not going to solve it.
Right.
It won't solve it.
But I could imagine a scenario where one person is good at one skill and the other's good at the other, and they play to their strengths.
Yes.
But rather than being separate and sort of isolated and doing their own thing, they come together on a regular basis and have a conversation. Hey, I did this week. What did you do?
Mm-hmm.
And where are we? What is the result of those two actions?
Correct.
And that's teamwork, right? That's
Right.
what we're constantly
Right.
advocating for.
I always am amazed that people in their jobs do this kind of naturally. They know this has to happen. Is if you work at a company
Yes.
where there's a group that sells things and there's a group that pays for the things and a group that manufactures the things, yes, they may work in different buildings, but there is constantly a sense of if we don't have the things made, then the things can't be sold. And if the things aren't sold, then the things don't get paid for. I mean,
Yeah.
we get it,
Right.
right? It all has to be
Constant
a synergy.
communication. Yeah.
And I think it's amazing that in when we get home, we kind of check our brains out of that knowledge that we
Yeah,
have.
I know.
We leave it in the car. We'll see it in the morning on the way into work, but we won't bring those same skill sets
Yeah.
into the door.
Right.
When the reality is that would be really helpful to take these things that we know how to do and employ them in the family
For sure.
in the family business.
Right.
So I would challenge anybody who says, wow, I really don't do money well. My partner does money better than me, and so I just think probably, I know they're frustrated, but I need somebody to tell me I can just check out, and that's okay, or I just need somebody to tell me that hitting is enough, and as long as I'm making the money or doing this other thing that I do for the family that has nothing to do with the other parts, then I'm fine, and I shouldn't be needing to do more.
Yeah.
And I would say it's not about doing more. It's about understanding where you guys are. It's about understanding what everybody does to accomplish this thing that you both have agreed on being important.
Yeah. Create a safe space for difficult conversations,
Mm-hmm.
for people to say, I don't feel good at this,
Mhm.
and the other one not to be like critical of it.
Right?
Just say, okay, how can we help? What do we need to do to help you feel better about this? And when they say nothing, it's impossible to say, but it is possible. Let's try and figure it out together.
Right.
So being encouraging and supportive and empathic, it's like the foundation of working through this.
And we have some episodes where we talk about some of the blocking and tackling, if you will, some of the basic skills of understanding how to communicate about how money comes into the house, how money goes out of the house, and how to kind of create a shared language about those things.
Yeah.
And so if you're new to our podcast, I would encourage you to stick in and listen to some of the other ones that we've done, because we're spending an awful lot of time talking about the stuff that isn't arithmetic,
Yes.
that really
The best part.
the best part, the stuff that really drives the success for couples who are able to get on and stay on the same page.